Welcome back, Portugal Junkies.
Hello. Hi.
We're really, really excited today because our friend Genie is with us, and we thought that we would start interviewing some of our immigrant friends so that you guys can hear about people's experiences that are different from ours. You might be tired of us by now. I don't know. Hopefully not.
Everybody's got a different story. Everybody's got a different background. So
and people are from everywhere here, and we've been lucky to meet such beautiful people from all over the world. And it's a funny story. Genie actually introduced herself. No, I take it back. She sent us an email after listening to a podcast like last year. And when we moved to Tavira, Mark and I were sitting out, or it might have just been me. No, it was just me. We had split up. We were doing different errands, and my errands included coffee. Yeah. So I was sitting down in Tavira having a coffee, and Jeannie walked by, and she was like, "Meredith?" And I was like, yes. So that's our funny meet cute story with Genie, and we're very happy to have you on. So welcome, Genie.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for saying yes and coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for asking me. It's so funny because I've spent a lot of time looking at other people's or listening to other people's stories on YouTube. So now I get a chance to tell my story. So it's good.
No, 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've done a lot of talking about this because we've hit. I think this is probably going to be somewhere in the mid 50th episode, something like that. And it's been 2 years or at least a year and a half of like doing the podcast. And so many times we look at each other and we're like, how do we integrate our friends? Yeah. And how do we integrate other people's stories that don't look like ours? Because I think, and what is important to both of us is that like we show how other people do it in different structures. We know that, it might have been easier for us. Mm-hmm. We didn't have kids, we have a dog, that's about it,
Yeah.
So
it's just interesting to grab a different perspective each week from various corners of the world. And, with that, Genie, how did you find yourself in Tavira?
Oh,
yeah.
Are you going to start with where did you come from? What did you do?
Yes, I want to know. We want to know the whole story. So share your whole story.
Go back as far as you wish.
I don't want to go too far back. Well, no, I find myself in Tavira. Well, there is a story. There's a journey that took place.
Yeah.
And originally I was born in the U.S. I grew up in sunny Southern California. Spent my early years there, like the 1970s and 80s and early 90s. And I loved it. California was a great place to live in back then. But my story begins a bit further back because my journey actually starts with my parents. My parents came from former Yugoslavia, and they immigrated from Yugoslavia. They had quite a long journey as well. So they left Yugoslavia. They were both kids during World War II. Europe was not a nice place to live back then. You can imagine. Right. It was devastated. Europe was divided after the war into East and West, and Yugoslavia firmly fell in the East. So I think my parents, like a lot of people back then, thought that they wanted a better life, and they started moving around. So they left Yugoslavia and moved to Belgium. And they lived there for a year. My dad spoke French, so he was able to work there. It was too cold for my mom, so they moved to Morocco. And they lived in Marrakesh for like 3 years. And my sister was born in Marrakesh. Then they thought, everyone back then in the 1950s and 60s had this idea of moving to America. It was like a beacon for immigrants. And they moved first to French-speaking Canada, and then eventually to the United States, where I was born. I was born on the East Coast. Then they moved to Chicago, or just outside of Chicago. My brother was born there. And finally settled in California. So they did all this back in the 1950s to 60s, early 60s.
Right.
It was a hell of a journey, and I knew all this growing up. In my house, we had different language, different culture, different food. I was very influenced by my European heritage because they brought all that with them. So I think my journey started with that. The seed was planted back when I was young that it wasn't all about living and growing up in the United States. There's a big world out there waiting to be explored.
Yeah.
And you got it honest,
Yeah.
right? I mean, they immigrated and then you did.
Yeah, I know.
You know?
Funny old thing, huh?
Yeah. It's interesting when you sort of think about what facilities were available back then compared to in today's world, and yet it was still achieved.
Yeah.
Right.
So moving around, whether it's transatlantic steamer or whatever it was at the time and such like. So it just goes to show that it's not something new. It's been happening for eons.
Yeah.
And so just got to find the journey that suits you at the time that you wanted to work out.
Yeah.
So
Then you spent most of that takes us to like the 90s, right? You said you were in Southern California until then?
Yeah, well, I ended up, actually, I took a trip to Yugoslavia when I was 18. This is when it was still Yugoslavia. My parents sent me there. I sort of wanted to explore the old country, and they sent me there for about a month and a half, and that just opened my eyes completely. I saw my grandmother. I went all around Yugoslavia at the time. And came back to the U.S. and I thought, I was hooked. I wanted to experience a different lifestyle, and so I ended up going to university on the East Coast of the United States. I wanted to kind of leave LA and explore, and that was amazing. Thoroughly enjoyed that, but eventually I decided to apply to grad school, and I applied to London, and I moved to London for graduate school. This was in the mid-1990s.
So whereabouts in London did you live
The university was in the city of London.
Okay. So dead centre.
Yeah.
That's
dead
awesome.
center.
Oof.
Yeah.
Excellent. Did you enjoy that?
Loved it. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Well, funnily enough, my brother happened to be in the UK. He was studying for a while, actually. He was there. And when I decided to apply to this graduate degree program, I thought it wouldn't be fun to go to London. And I did. And I loved it. It was amazing. I had such a good time.
Excellent.
Yeah. Great town, great city.
For definite. I mean, there's definitely areas that are better than others, and I'm not going to say which ones. Could get myself in trouble.
I love London.
But yeah, I sort of lived in the just outside of London, sort of the Teddington, Richmond, Twickenham area for a short while. So a lot of fun, but not in the city. So good days.
And that was the beginning of many years for
Many
you.
years. Yeah,
Right?
yeah, I did. I ended up settling in London. I mean, I moved back briefly to the US. I lived in New York for a year, but I moved back to the UK because I got married and applied for the visa to get married and settle in the UK. And that was in 1995. That's when I moved permanently to the UK.
Right.
Got married, settled in, had a family, and I became British citizen in 2001.
Nice. So
Yeah.
that was 6 years.
Pardon?
It was 6 years before you became a
Yeah,
citizen.
about that. Yeah, I mean, I applied. I mean, I wasn't planning on applying for a British citizenship because I actually had a permanent visa to stay. But, it just, somebody had said, why don't you apply? I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It just seemed to be a lot easier back then, I guess. It was a lucky coincidence. And I did that. I went ahead and made the application and had to swear allegiance to the Queen. And yeah, it was really cool.
And I had to do the opposite. I had to sort of swear allegiance to the States for my dual. But yeah,
He was like, "Whew, I have to really do that." And I'm like,
Yeah.
if you want the passport.
kind of words.
Yeah.
Well, he was
I
like,
didn't
I
really-
would never do it if it wasn't dual citizenship. And I was like, we would never have pursued that.
No,
If it meant
if
giving up
giving
your-
one up, I wouldn't
Yeah.
have given it.
Yeah.
So what happened after that? You're sort of now into in the UK.
You stayed for 20 some
Something
years.
30 years. 30 years. I basically never returned back to the U. I went back to visit, obviously, family, but no, my life was permanently in the UK, and I absolutely loved it. I always had a career. I had some really interesting, unique work opportunities in the UK. So I got to travel a lot for work. But also the UK is just a great launch pad for the rest of the world.
Isn't it?
I've been absolutely everywhere, all over Europe, and for work went on trips to the Middle East and North Africa, and went to Sub-Saharan Africa, Latin America. So it was just brilliant. I was able to kind of explore the world both for work and for pleasure.
For some fun times.
So when did Portugal come into play at all for you at this point?
Yeah, well, I think like most Brits, I had the idea that one day I would retire to sunnier climates. And I spent a lot of time in France in particular. So I thought I'd end up in France because I spoke a bit of French. I spent a lot of time there. I had friends who had either second homes there or they actually relocated. And then Brexit happened. So Portugal wasn't on the radar initially, but Brexit kind of made me think about things in a different way.
Hey babe, how many times do you think that we rode the should we or shouldn't we move to Portugal roller coaster before we actually did it?
I don't know, maybe like 193 times.
Wouldn't it have been so cool if we had us during that time, to talk to?
Absolutely, I'd love talking to us.
Me too! So, we've decided we are going to be the us we needed for you guys. If you want to shoot the shit, ask us anything, or just get some real life perspective from our experience of moving from the US to Portugal, we are now opening up our calendar for one-on-one calls. We can also hook you up with some of our best legal, immigration, and tax partners who helped us along the way. And we'll hop on Zoom together to answer anything we can for you as you try to decide what's best for you in your potential move to Portugal. Book with us right now on our Stan store at stan.store/Portugal Junkies, and we'll see you there.
Yeah.
So, like lots of people during COVID, I was just trying to figure stuff out, and I was listening to all other people's journeys and stories, and like other people, I've noticed that Portugal kept coming up as a place to relocate to, and when I started looking into it, I went, yeah, okay, this looks really interesting. It was just ticking all the boxes. So I took my first trip here. And the other thing is I was looking at where in Portugal to start. Where do you start looking?
Right.
I knew nothing about the country. So I kind of ruled out the north, like you.
Because
Meredith.
of-
It was like,
Yes.
if I
Wait,
relocating.
because of the rain, I can't imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, no, it's got to be the Algarve, really, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So I kind of looked at different places in the Algarve and honed in on the east, and did my first trip here, and based myself in Tavira that first trip, and went around to like all the Villarreal to San Antonio and Cabanas and Olhão and stuff like that. But I fell in love with Tavira, pretty much immediately.
Isn't that how she does? That's how she does to people.
Yeah, she's very seductive.
She has a river running through her. She has a castle. I mean,
Yeah.
what can you ask for?
It's a city.
Great wine bars.
Oh, great wine bars.
Some very good ones.
Yes.
And that's just on your doorstep. So that's even better.
So when was that? When was that trip?
That was 2022, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. We were a year after you. Like our first trip to Portugal was it was 2022. It was August 2022
Wow,
because we
wow,
moved
gee.
in 23. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
I know where the time goes.
The time flies, and then yet it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It seems, especially when you're at the wine bar, it seems to just like softly hang.
Yeah,
It's like a time warp. You go into these places, you never get out.
that's
It's
exactly
like,
right.
was I in here for 5 hours? But it only cost me €15. It's like, great.
It's frightening when
Perfect.
that happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
It happens.
Oh,
So what was it you said? Okay, so you visited Portugal, and when I met you, you already had an apartment.
Yes.
but you were applying for your visa, so you had bought your apartment, right? If I
I
remember
did.
correctly.
Yeah. I did. I that first trip was sort of a recce, and I was very very lucky. I viewed a number of properties all around in various towns and stuff, and walked into this place, and I thought, right, yeah, this is it. I just saw it,
Yeah.
my life here. It was just
Yeah.
the strangest thing. It just, and also everything fell into place. Like the whole process of purchasing, it's very daunting to
Yes.
purchase a property in a different country, but it all seemed to happen quite organically, without too much effort. So I was very lucky. And at that time, I wasn't ready to apply for the D7 to move here permanently. I thought I'd go back and forth, and I did. I would go back and forth from the UK to Portugal. I would say one other thing, that the logistics of here in Portugal, in Algarve in particular, is so brilliant to get back to the UK. Like, I would be working here. I'd spend 4 weeks here, and then I'd go back. I'd get on the 7 a.m. flight from Faro, and I'd be back in the UK logging on at 12 noon to
Oh my
continue
God.
work. Yeah, it was brilliant. And I did that for 2 years nearly. And then things happened at work, and also things were changing in Portugal at the time, and I thought, I'm getting nervous now. What if I, the criteria changes for the visa process or something? So I made the decision end of last year to go ahead and apply for the visa for the D7, and I was looking at your podcast, just trying to figure out how to do this.
Well, I think that's when we met. That was
That was the
the point
situation.
in the timeline, because I remember us having a glass of wine
Conversation.
and having this whole conversation around, like, how was it for you? What was it like? And all the disclaimers we gave you, because we were applying from the States and you were going to be applying from the UK, which 90% should be about the same, but you never know.
Yeah.
The documents might be called something different or whatever, and
Yeah.
but that was at the point when we met, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
When you did yours, did you do all of it yourself? Did you have any external expertise help, or
It's a good question.
from the UK perspective? Because I don't really know how that all fits in.
Yeah. I did it myself, actually,
Yeah.
because I had already done the property purchase here. I did have a lawyer, obviously, to help me deal with the conveyancing for that. But because of that process, going through that, I just learned so much about how things work, and documents and what you need. I mean, it's just paperwork, really. It's just a process. So I actually spoke to a friend of mine who here in Tavira, and she's like, "Oh, I did my own D7. You'll be fine. Just follow this, and these
Follow
are
the rules."
documents that you need." And there isn't anything a lawyer can help you. You've got to make the appointment with VSF, and London was my office in for VSF appointment. And I mean, it was pretty all straightforward.
Right.
Yeah.
It really, honestly, it is. If you can filter yourself through all the commentary online and the confusion about, like, from the bureaucratic
Yeah. Absolutely.
entities, it's like if they would just give you a very clear list. It doesn't take, I mean, it's not like unheard of stuff that they're asking you for, but I think that it can feel overwhelming because it's such a foreign process to
Yeah.
most people. It's the first time they might be applying for a visa or something, right? And so it's just like, I feel like people get intimidated by it. But it's definitely, I mean, we did it ourselves.
It's doable.
Yeah.
Not easily. But you just got to have
You got
a
to work.
process.
Yeah. And you've got to do your research and really know the right resources to trust.
Just
I
get everything.
don't know if it helped that I had already been through a visa immigration process when I moved to
True,
the UK.
yeah.
So, maybe it didn't seem that unusual. And of course, I told you about my parents' journey. They did that. They moved countries all the time back in the 50s and 60s with no internet. They were constantly doing it. So
Yes.
I just sort of took it on the chin. I thought, right, we'll just go ahead and follow
Get
the
on with
process.
Yeah. And that's kind of the similar situation for me when I was going through my US immigration paperwork over there. But that's a whole nother kettle of fish. It's just
Oh, yeah.
weird. But anyway, fortunately, we're now here, so I don't have to worry about it. And
You got
everything.
we often talk about how he literally got his passport, his citizenship in the States in August, and
Like
we
checking
applied, not on purpose, it just was the timing, and we went to our VSF appointment in September.
Yeah.
Like, it was, he literally had been there long enough to get his citizenship
So
and go
thanks
through
for that.
all of that.
I'm out.
And then,
That
well, it
seems like
leads us
a lot of effort.
Yeah.
this,
Well, you know.
this actually leads us to one of the most unique things about Genie, who is like, when we had wine with you and we were talking about all this and just getting to know each other, you mentioned to us that you were in the process, or maybe had just finished it, that you were renouncing your U.S. citizenship.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've never met a single person on the planet who's done that. And I want to know, like, tell me about it. Like, if you don't mind, I would love for you to tell the listeners, like, what led you there and like what that was about.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not the only one to have done
No.
that. If you Google former U.S. citizens, like Tina Turner comes up. I think it was Tina Turner.
Because she lived in Switzerland,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
She
she
is.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and other people have done it too. Look, I didn't, first of all, I renounced a number of years ago. I didn't renounce for political reasons. Actually, Biden was president when I went through the process. It was during COVID. And, you know, I guess my decision to do it was purely based on the fact that I was never going to live in the U.S. again. And
Right.
I didn't see myself there. It just wasn't part of my journey going forward. You know, it had nothing to do with politics or whatever. And I also think, like, I wanted, especially going into this phase in my life, moving to Portugal, I just wanted to simplify things. I just wanted, you know, an easy existence, as it were. And I think that when you're an American citizen and you don't live in the United States, you live abroad, it becomes a complicated thing. And
Right.
I didn't really see the benefit of it. I have a British passport, so I consider myself British. You know, I had an American passport, and it was, you know, served me at that time, but I'm never going to live there, so I didn't really see the point in
Right.
hanging on to it. And as I said, going into this stage in my life, I thought I just want to keep things simple, and I renounced.
I really love that because it makes a lot of sense to me, because it does feel like it's this element, because we've been here for 2 years. I don't see us leaving anytime soon,
No.
right? And so you look down the line and you're like,
What does it serve us?
well, not saying that I would renounce. I don't know that I would or wouldn't, but I like the way she was saying it. Just I wanted to feel like I was leading a more simple existence. If that is not benefiting me in any way,
Right.
Yeah.
like, what's the point,
Yeah.
right?
I'd never voted. I mean, I did vote remote, you know, from abroad
Yeah, from
initially.
abroad.
When I first moved to the UK, I did vote by absentee ballot, and then I stopped doing that even. Like, you know, it says, oh, if you renounce, you're not allowed to hold a gun or have a gun at night. I never owned a gun anyway.
Okay.
So where's the benefit? I didn't, you know, I
Right.
don't vote. I don't have guns. I don't really,
Right.
I don't identify
And
with
I think,
You do surprise me.
and I also think that the number one thing is that you knew in your gut that you were never going to live there again.
No.
That's another
That
thing.
was-
I mean,
yeah.
you know, if somebody is at that point too, then maybe that's the right path for them as well. But I think that just shows that, like, you know, your home is now, and it has been for 30 years, the UK, and now Portugal.
And now Portugal. Yeah. The journey continues.
That's right.
Absolutely.
My dear, sweet listeners, I say this with all the love in my heart. If you haven't traveled in beautiful Portugal yet, what are you waiting for? You are missing out big time. Iconic beaches, delicious wine, centuries of history, and honestly, some of the most beautiful people that you will ever meet. Why do you think we moved here? So, when you're ready, we are ready to help you plan the most perfect customized Portugal itinerary just for you, and more importantly, how you like to travel. Family trip with the kiddos, lazy girl travel, history buffs, foodies, combinations of all of those, we got you. After exploring Portugal since 2022 and then immigrating here, we're really excited to build travel plans for you that help you see this gorgeous, special place by understanding the way that you like to travel. Book a free call with us right now on our Stan store at stan.store/Portugal Junkies, and we'll talk through your ideal trip and start planning your customized Portugal itinerary. You'll even get your final itinerary on an app to use during your trip for easy access right on your phone while you're here. Remember, adventure is a verb, y'all. We're excited to help you plan yours.
Well, one of the questions I had was, when you decided to renounce, how long does the process take? I mean, is it really sort of a tough? Are you met with resistance from people who are saying, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Or
Well, interestingly, there was a process, just like there was a process to get a visa to come here or process to immigrate to the United States. There is to the UK when I moved to the UK. There is a process to renounce. So there's an application. I put my application in during COVID, and there was a long waiting list. It took me over a year to get that appointment.
Wow. And then it's just an appointment that you have to physically go?
Yeah, you have to physically go. I went to the US Embassy in London. You have to get paperwork together. You have to, make sure you're compliant and up to date with tax filing.
Yeah.
There's certain things that you have to have a second passport. Really,
Right.
You can't really renounce without a second passport, because then you're deemed stateless.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I think they don't want you to be stateless. So I think it is important to have a second passport. And as I said, I was a UK citizen for such a long time. As well, naturalized citizen. So I had to bring all that stuff down. You do have to pay a fee to renounce, like an exit fee, which was
Thanks, America.
It's like, go the IRS.
It was quite a lot, actually. I was like, oh my God, okay. So you have to pay your fee first, and then you go renounce. Like, you have to pay first.
Wow.
Gotcha.
So, and then you have to take an oath saying that, you weren't coerced into doing this, you're doing this of your own free will, and blah, 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 blah. And you sign and you do the oath, and then that's it. And then they take your application and they send it back to Washington, D.C., I think. And then about a month or so later, I got my renunciation certificate.
And that also means no more tax paying in the
you don't
US,
have to.
right?
Well, no, that's true. I mean, everyone goes on about the taxes. It wasn't even that.
It's just that you have to file.
Well,
You
the
have to
filing,
file
but
for
also
it.
it becomes complicated if you're opening up bank accounts in different countries. You have to say, I have to show my opening up bank accounts here or even in the UK. Yeah, here's my certificate. I renounced. So because I think there's some reporting that needs to be done on the U.S. citizen. So it just complicates things.
Right.
I don't think it's made easier for you if you are an American and you're living abroad. They don't make it easy for you.
No, either way.
We've
had many podcasts about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so that was it. And I remember after I left the U.S. Embassy, I had time in London, and I thought, I'm going to go to a pub and have a drink. And I'm sitting in this pub, and there are these, young ladies from Australia, and they were visiting their friend in London. We were chatting. What are you doing in London? I said, I've just renounced my U.S. citizenship. And everyone's like, oh, hooray, congratulations.
Let me buy you a
Get you a
pint.
drink, And I'm thinking, I thought people would be like, God, what are you, stupid? Why would you do that? But no, nobody said that. Everyone's like,
Finally,
wow,
the Brits are accepting me.
But it's funny
well
you say.
done, congrats.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, okay. I felt actually quite good about it afterwards, actually, because I was worried beforehand. I did have cold feet the night before. I remember thinking, what the hell am I doing? My parents spent all their lives, coming to the U.S. and becoming American and giving us this, upbringing and stuff like that. And I felt like I was just throwing it away. So, yeah, I did go through a lot of kind of moral dilemma. Is this the right thing to do? But in the end, I thought this is the right thing to do for me.
Yeah.
For you at that moment in this life. It's very interesting, though. You say that when you came out of the US Embassy, the first thing you thought was, I'm going to go to the pub, because that is exactly the same thing I did after my visa appointment with the embassy. It's just like, right, where's the nearest pub? I just need to decompress.
That's right.
This was the old embassy, not the newfandangled one.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Years
so it
and
must
years
be
ago.
something to do with US embassies and pubs.
So you were in London. Was it
Yes.
the one in Mayfair, the old embassy in Mayfair?
Yeah, the old
Yeah.
one.
Have you been to the new one?
No, I've only seen it on TV.
Oh, it's
I've only
honestly,
seen it on TV.
I like the old one. The new one's like being on the Starship Enterprise or something.
I know.
We were watching that on. Was it on The Diplomat?
The Diplomat.
The Diplomat on Netflix. He said, "That's the new one. I haven't been to that one."
I've not been there, fortunately.
Yeah.
good and bad.
Well, I'm not going back. So
No.
I don't have to go back again.
There you go. No, the other one was nice. It was
Agreed.
an old building. But really, really
I'm
cool.
surprised in England it's an old building.
Yeah. Well,
We don't even know old.
No, you don't. So,
As I would say my next question for you, now that we've talked about that whole path, and now that you're here and you're in Portugal and you've seen so much of the world and all of that, what are the biggest challenges to you in terms of being an immigrant? What has that experience been for you?
What, coming here to Portugal? Challenges. Well, everyone talks about the language. Yeah, I mean, they're like, as opposed to moving to the UK, where everyone speaks English, of course, and there's more familiarity between the US and the UK. Coming here, it's really a different culture and everything else. But I think because of my background with I had a second language in my house and different food, different music, it didn't feel quite so odd for me.
it wasn't so alien.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't feel so intimidating, I guess. So in terms of challenges, I'll tell you the biggest challenge I've had is registering my Vespa. When I brought that bike from
I remember that.
Oh,
I
what
brought
did you
everything down. I had all my stuff moved from they drove it down from the UK here, and I threw my Vespa on. Can I bring that, to register it here? And it took 5 months to get that thing registered. It's finally
What did you
registered.
nickname her again?
Vera.
Vera.
Vera the Vespa.
Vera,
right.
Vera to Vera Vespa. That's
Vera
fine.
to Vera Vespa.
Brilliant.
She's
Love it.
great. I
trying to
saw
get-
her this morning.
I'm gonna have to try her out if you'll let me, because I've had
be
this
careful.
dream. You know how Americans just romanticize Europe. I mean, we do. And some of it is very true, and some of it you're like, yeah, but the reality is this. So I've just like, ever since we thought about moving here, I was like, I don't need a car. I need a little Vespa to ride around with my baguette on my my fresh flowers and on the back, and like literally that is what I think of sometimes when I romanticize, like, what is it like for an American to move to Europe? And so Mark is convinced that I'm going to kill myself on the Vespa.
Come off.
No, my go-to imagery was Audrey Hepburn, right? Roman Holiday,
Oh
right?
yes.
That she's
I
on
mean,
the
it's.
I'm
I
like,
think
that's
I even said it on another podcast where it's like, you go to the market and you get your brown bag full of fresh vegetables and your baguette sticking out of it, freshly
your
baked.
hair whipping. Well, I have a helmet.
The reality is, I'm in Porto at the time and it's wet and I'm slip sliding all over the cobblestones, and by the time I get home my groceries are wet and like all the things.
Look like a
That's
drowned rat.
reality.
Yeah, that's it. So
But Tavira's not that wet, so
Yeah.
I could probably have that dream
you
if
can
I
have
wanted
that
to.
dream maybe sort of every 6 months of the year.
That's right.
But
So-
the one good thing about this place is you don't need a car. You
You
can.
don't.
That's partly why I chose this place, because you can move around quite easily, either on the train, the bus. Uber is easy,
Yeah.
but definitely having the Vespa is just brilliant.
Yes.
Like I jumped on her this morning and just rode down to Cabanas
I
for a
love
cup
it.
of coffee, and the sun is shining. It's just so cool. It's so cool.
I
so
know.
cool.
See, you might have to rent some Vespas and just
Oh gosh.
try
You
it
need to
out.
do it. You need to do it. We'll go.
It's
We'll
a
all
lot
go
cheaper
together.
than a car.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. Once you get on it, you won't go back. You'll be like, yeah, you have to.
I'll be like the what was the film, the American film? Is it Dumb and Dumber, where they go through like Aspen and something like that?
I thought that was a sidecar.
No,
Are they
no,
on the
that's Wallace
sidecar?
and Gromit.
Oh.
But no, I can't remember. Anyway, there was like just this whole sort of.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my look of a Vespa or
I think we're going to
Fiddle or
try it
anything.
out. Eventually, we'll
We
try
should.
it out.
We should.
Yeah.
I'll keep
We'll give
working
a go.
on it. I'll keep
Yeah,
working
you
on
do that.
All right, one last question.
Yep.
For listeners who may be tuning in because they are really thinking about moving abroad but can't get over this idea that they can do it, like that they're either intimidated or
Not sure where to start.
feel like they can't get over the initial hurdles of saying, yes, I'm going to go do it, right? What would you say? What advice do you have for them?
It depends how badly you want it. I mean, if you have a desire to do something in life, you should, follow through on that desire, because you only have one life to live. I think if I didn't do this, if I didn't try, I would have regretted it.
Right.
The fact that I did it, it might not work out. Who knows? Maybe, I don't know. Things might happen. The immigration might change here. Who knows? But I always think that if I don't do it, if I don't try, I'll never know. And
Yeah.
I couldn't go to my grave thinking that way. We've got one life to live. Go for it. There's nothing
Yeah.
stopping you. In terms of the amount of paperwork, it's hard work. There's no doubt. I mean, I had many sleepless nights. You have to have nerves of steel to pull this off, to make it happen. But if you're determined, if I can do it, if you could do it, anyone could do it. It's not impossible. And my parents did it over and over again, back in with a family in tow and all of this, not even speaking the language. I mean, it's possible. I guess that's the lesson that I took from them, is like anything is possible.
Anything's possible. Yeah.
And that's what you should remember when you think about when you were having those feelings about your renouncement. You remember when you were talking about that, and you said this over wine too, where you were like having those moments the night before and thinking about, am I doing some sort of injustice to everything that they've done and taught me? But what you just said is what they taught you, is that you need to go and do and see the world, and wherever that is wherever that is.
Yeah.
So what a story you have about your whole. I honestly had forgotten about your parental, like your heritage and all of that. So thank you for sharing that, because I know we've talked about it before, but like
It's nice to bring it into the whole realm of
meanwhile, my family has lived in the same radius basically.
tri-state.
But they love it.
Yeah.
They love it. So it's what they like. But it's so funny, the differences in what your choices in life will allow you to see and experience.
Yeah.
So,
Without a doubt.
well,
And
thank
if
you.
you have the desire, do it. Go for it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Absolutely.
It
Couldn't
is
agree more.
doable.
Yeah.
It is.
I've done it. You've done it.
He's done it twice.
You've
You've
done
done
it.
it twice. I've now done it. Oh, I'm in the Cool Kids Club.
Well, maybe not quite. You
Not
might-
as
you
cool
might
as
be
you
getting
guys.
better.
Then you'll be
I'm
in the
not.
cool
I'm
club.
not a British citizen.
Sorry, what?
What'd you say, Genie?
Okay. I
No,
said
what did you
need
say?
The best club, then you'll be in the cool club.
That's right.
There
you go.
There you go.
All right.
Excellent.
Thank you,
Oh,
Jeannie,
thank
so
you guys so
much. We
Really
are
appreciate
very thankful that you came on the podcast and shared your story. So, thank
My
you.
pleasure. It was really, really nice. Nice to see you both.
Yeah.
You too.
See you guys.
You take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
For more content about our move, the visa process, Portuguese culture and destinations, and tons of support resources for your own decisions and potential move abroad, follow us at Substack, TikTok, and Instagram at Portugal Junkies.
Stay in touch and help us reach more people by subscribing here and following us there.
Cheers, y'all! Listen, when we moved to Portugal not knowing a bit of Portuguese, I was so nervous about a lot of things. But the visa process was the most nerve-wracking, including the part where, you sign a legal document like a lease when you don't even know how to read the language. So we were referred to our lawyer, João Pinto, to get some help with translating, interpreting, and negotiating our lease in Porto. And he was so awesome that we've decided to keep him. But now, that one simple task that he helped us with has opened our eyes to everything that he does. He specializes in helping Americans move to Portugal, the entire visa process, and even buying a home here. We did our visa process all on our own, and now looking back, part of me really wishes that we had known Joao then and all that he could have helped us with to navigate the sometimes crazy path to get here. Good news for you though, he's graciously offered our listeners a free consultation call and a 10% discount. So, if you're looking for a trusted certified lawyer in Portugal to help you with your move to Portugal before, during, or after, we highly recommend Joao. He's super responsive, so smart, and a great communicator. Head over to our social media accounts on Instagram or TikTok. Access our stand store in the bio, and you can download Joao's list of services for free and schedule your free call and get 10% off. Cheers, y'all!